The whole push towards AI is going to make online service businesses obsolete in their current form. And it's not the entire business that just goes and evaporates suddenly. It's one specific layer. And it's coming for the execution layer first. The agency model, the info business, the online service that runs on delivery, output, and the skill. These businesses, their entire value proposition is execution. The talent, the delivery, the output they produce for clients. And that is what AI replaces. And founders who don't adapt will eventually go bankrupt due to economics. And this is not a prediction. Look at what's already happening. These businesses are dependent on two things simultaneously: execution talent and chain of tools they don't own. And AI is disrupting both simultaneously. And you can already see it in the market. This is a pool of publicly traded SaaS companies, and you can see for the past years being down. If you look at the Forbes article, 300 billion basically evaporated from the SaaS market, and all of that money is going into agentic AI. And altogether, the dependency chain is already breaking because AI has made it possible for a founder to go there and just create his own tools to remove that dependency entirely. But here's a structural problem that these businesses have not solved. Right now, most businesses are running on a dependency chain they don't own. 10 tools, 15 tools. We are so used to using tons of different tools for basically each interaction we do for a client, for operations, and so forth. And the problem is not number of tools. The problem is what happens to the data. Every tool your team uses, the data stays there. It's in its own siloed environment. It does not travel. It does not communicate with the rest of your business. Every person on your team is working on their own environment, their own tools, their own context. The senior strategist has their own workflows. The head of operations has theirs. And even when they use Claude or, for example, GPT, the context stays there. It does not travel with you as the founder. So if someone else on your team needs that context, they basically have to start from scratch. To share anything, you have to go there and find it, copy it, send it. That is not a system. You're running around using other people's tools in their own environments, and nothing is compounding. And within this new shift that's already taking place, a new business that enters the market running on their own internal tools does not compete with you on quality. Quality comes and goes. What destroys your economics is speed and cost. They can do it faster and cheaper because they own the infrastructure and you are basically renting it. But the thing is, the value was never in the execution layer. Execution at this point is just a commodity. The value is data. The data from every client you fulfill, every workflow you run, every outcome you produce. That is the most valuable asset you can actually produce. And right now, it's scattered across different types of tools you don't control. And this is the position most service businesses are in. And the direction is already clear. Online service businesses are moving towards hybrid SaaS. And hybrid SaaS is the specific thing. It's not a software company. It's a service business that uses its own internal tools to fulfill its clients. And the key word is internal. It's not another subscription or dependency. And the founders who already are making this transition, they take the data that comes from the work you already do, from fulfilling clients, from delivery, the outcomes, and feed it back into their own tools. And that loop, as you can see here, is the model itself. Now, the obvious answer to do this, just hire a developer or just build it yourself, bring in a technical person, and all those are costly. I mean, they are correct. I'm not saying they are wrong, but they are per project basis, and they just create a new dependency. You just replaced a SaaS subscription with a day rate for a developer or something like that. And the structural problem remains the same. What you actually need is different, and there's a name for it. So coming back to this image, think about how you work right now. Every tool is a room. You walk in, you do the work, and the data stays there, and you basically walk out. The room can be organized, everything inside can be perfect, and that is not the problem. The problem is the documents stay in that room. They don't travel with you, and you have no map of the building. You don't know what's happening in other rooms, what your team left behind, what context exists somewhere else in your business. Basically, nothing is compounding. And every day you are running on the same loop in a building you don't fully understand. And now some people try to solve this by moving it to one environment, a cloud project, a custom GPT project, and it's still a room, a better organized room. But the context, each interaction you do with this AI model in the closed environment stays there. The context stays there. And again, it's not connecting with the rest of the building. And that's where harness engineering comes into play. And what harness is, it's a central data layer that sits inside your business. It's not a tool or a platform. It's a layer that is truly yours, and it's built around your workflows, your clients, and your data. Every workflow you run feeds into it. Every step your team takes is visible to it. And because everything flows through one place, through this one harness, you can build workspaces on top of it. A content workflow, lead generation workflow, a client fulfillment workflow, and each one is not a standalone tool. It's an extension of the same foundation. And they all draw from the same data. They all feed back into the same place. If we look at the three stages in a nutshell, first is, for example, a simple tool. You can take any tool you already use, for example, Google Documents. This is the first stage. You get data, you manually go there and just use the tool to interact, to write, for example, an SOP. You get the final output, and that is the result. That's it. Everything is static, nothing is changing. Now we go inside, for example, a GPT, a custom cloud project. You can feed it data, you can connect it, for example, with Google Drive, and it automatically can feed data inside a workspace, for example, content generation workspace. And from there, you can get output, you get the result, and the result can feed it back to the workspace, basically the results of a certain output. And this is fine, like this it's not a problem. But the thing is that this model operates only for this specific domain. It doesn't change or affect the entire business. So when you plug in AI in this environment, it only understands one singular thing per workflow. So if you have if you use this model and you have a content generation workflow, and then you have a lead generation workflow, there's nothing that actually communicates with both at the same time. Both have to be updated by you. So you are, again, the human in the loop for just updating the context on what's actually happening in your business. And now we go into the harness layer. Here, the core distinction between these two stages is that the harness is in the middle. It's the extension that you take and you, for example, plug in the content generation workflow as the workspace, and you do the same for lead generation workflow, you do the same for client delivery. Like the data is in one place, and it extends through different workspaces at the same time. And in that way, the AI, when you plug it in, it can see each and every single step of the way from that specific workflow. Which means that, for example, if you use the same content generation workflow, you have more additional data about the business. You can see how the sales were affected. You can see how fulfillment, for example, you run this content generation workflow and a certain post got a meeting, the meeting closed, and you can actually see how good of a client it is. Without the harness, you wouldn't see it. So that is the main difference here. So altogether, when you plug an AI model inside such a harness, it just works way much more efficient because it's always aligned with the business you have, and it can see all of those single steps within different types of domains. And yeah, just more powerful in that way. And that is what compounding looks like at the business level. It's not that one room just gets smarter, the entire building gets smarter. before you even enter a room, you already have the right documents in front of you. You walk in, you do the job, and the data is always with you. And when you do this at scale, every person on your team operates with the same map. Everyone builds on what the last person left. And the more system is used, the better it gets. Not for one domain, but for the whole business as a whole. And that is what the harness actually is. And that is what most businesses don't have. And in the next video, I'm going to actually show you what is a harness and just show you how it looks like in real life. Because right now, this is just a concept. This video was meant just for you to be aware of the gap. Otherwise, it would be 1 hour of me filming. So that will be a separate video. And that will give you an understanding of why you actually need the harness and why it's the missing piece of the puzzle. And yeah, that's about it.